crazy.
Absolutely everyone is after the vintage look these days, and I understand why. It's nostalgic, it's classy, and it's reminiscent of the good old days. But today we're in downtown Toronto. We have a car show to attend to. We're gonna get some coffee, and we're also gonna show you how to get the vintage look for your videos, for your vlogs, for your cinematics, whatever it is. So it's really loud in here, guys. We're just walking into the meet. We're not actually at the top yet. We're in a lower level. As you can see, there's some crazy cars already. We have a Porsche, the Casual RS6 sitting here as well. But the first thing you're going to want to think about when you're getting vintage footage is the lens of choice. Now, ideally, you're going to want to shoot on a vintage lens, obviously, because that's going to give you the most vintage look. Vintage lenses give you a unrefined, kind of messy bokeh type look. So this is the vintage lens that I have. It is a Praktica Pentacon something. It is a 50mm 1.8. I think it's some Russian lens. I'm not sure exactly what it is, where it's from, what time era it's from. But I got it on eBay back in the UK for about, I think it's about £30 to be honest, which is about 50, 60 Canadian dollars. But this lens gives such a vintage, unique look to videos. But this is not the only way you can get a vintage look with your lens. You can also get things like mist filters. Mist filters literally do what they say on the tin. They add like a mist type effect on to your lens. So everything looks a lot more soft, like as if you're looking at a dream or looking back in time. You know, when you have like a soft image with the highlights that are blown out. It's similar to the hack that people do when they put Vaseline on their lens, except obviously it's a lot cleaner and easier, and you can just pop it on and off of your lens. So, but we're just gonna head into the car meet now, and then we're gonna get some cinematic footage with this lens, and we're also gonna use a mist filter on our Tamron 28 to 75 2.8. So we're just coming up the meet now. We've got some crazy cars here already. We've got Cadillac there, Lambo, and there's some nice M4s and some newer stuff down there, but I think all the old vintage stuff is going to be right here as we enter into the car meet. I'm going to set my exposure because it's sunny and it's hot as well. Walked into the meet. The cars over here are absolutely insane. So this meet is run by the same guys that we went to a few weeks ago. It was a BMW vintage meet in Etobicoke, but this is just a vintage sports car meet, so there's a lot more variety of cars here. It's not just BMWs, there's Porsche, there's Mercedes, there's Lambo, there's anything vintage you can probably think of, they have. It's a smaller meet than the BMW one, but I feel like the car selection in this one is a lot better, and there's just a lot more different stuff to see. I'm not a BMW diehard fanboy, so for me this is a lot nicer just to see a variety of stuff. There are BMWs as well. As you can see, there's a nice, I don't know what it is, I think the E36, I don't know. There's an M4 down there, but it's literally on the rooftop of a car park in Yorkville, and it looks crazy. Like, if you can just like all of these meets that we go, the one thing these guys do really well is they make it look like freaking Gran Turismo wallpapers and everything. Like, it looks nice. They have coffee, they have food, they have sunshine, and it's in the nicest part of Toronto, in my opinion. So yeah, they're doing something right. So the cars are just pretty much leaving, guys. I'm just going back to my car as well. But something that you might have noticed when I was filming the B-roll and the B-roll that you saw, the cinematic shots, is that I didn't really use any parallax or any gimbal movements in the shot. Last, obviously, car meet I went to, I took the gimbal with me, but for vintage shots and all of that kind of stuff, you don't really want to add too much motion other than kind of handheld, natural looking motion. You don't want it to look too clinical. You want it to look a bit rough on the edges, like not too refined, and that's what gives the nice vintage look. And I think it goes without saying that the props, the subject itself that you're filming, whether it's cars, whether it's yourself, try and make it look as vintage as possible, because that's really going to help sell the vintage look a lot more. Obviously I had vintage cars in my footage, so that's obviously giving a retro vibe and helping sell the vintage look a lot more. Obviously clothing as well, like if you're wearing like an olden style hat or clothing or have a cigar in your mouth, whatever it is, that helps sell the vintage look a lot more rather than shooting something modern and trying to make it look vintage. So think about your framing, think about the subject you're filming, and that's gonna help sell the vintage feel a lot more. I'm just going home now. I'm gonna go edit this footage that I just shot because I'm excited to see how it turned out. But I'm also gonna go through how to edit to make it feel vintage as well. So say for example, you got footage that isn't necessarily vintage looking, how you can make it look a lot more vintage in the edit and all of that stuff. So I'll see you when I get home. So I have a confession. I went home and I knocked out because I woke up earlier than usual. I slept less than usual, so I thought I'd just catch up on some sleep. Took a little nap, but I've just been working from the studio for the last couple of hours. But right now, I just wanted to go through some of the editing hacks, tips that you might want to use when you're trying to create that vintage feel and vintage look. Three main things that I want to highlight from the edit of this video actually, because I was just going through some of the footage, I graded it, and there's three things that I want to show you right now. Okay, so you can see my screen, you can see this beautiful little retro shot of this Porsche Carrera 4S. There's three layers I'm going to show you. So these are the three layers. So the first layer is my conversion LUT. So we have a S-Log3 to Rec 709 conversion, just to kind of bring back the colors, bring back the contrast in the shot. Then I added just a little bit of contrast on top of the conversion, and then played around with the hue saturation curves a little bit as well. So I just added a bit more blue in, made the orangey reds a bit more prominent in the video. So the second layer now, so tip number 2, is pretty much just adding in film grain. And I also like to add in a bit of color as well at this point too. But the first thing I want to highlight is film grain. So back in the day, sensors weren't obviously as advanced and developed as they are now. So the ISOs and all of these things, like the footage would be a lot more grainy. This is just to kind of add that vintage feel back into our footage. So I use this film grain, which comes with most editing softwares. I'm obviously in Final Cut Pro. So the thing you're going to want to do with film grain is zoom into the image and go to like a block of solid color. So we have the sky here and the blue. Obviously when you're editing, you can't necessarily see the film grain, but when you zoom in, like it's a night and day difference. You can really see it, and that's how you can kind of dial in your percentages and numbers and amount of grain that you want to add in. Otherwise, if you're seeing it from like a distance, then it's easy to overdo it with the film grain. Now the third thing I want to speak about is obviously these black bars that I've added on the side. This kind of aspect ratio it makes it look a lot older. Even when you watch movies or very old films, whatever it is, like you'll see that a lot of the aspect ratios are like more leaning towards a square size. You don't have to have it. Again, it adds a nice little touch. You can see that it just, again, it makes it look a lot more older. And if you keep the tips in mind that I've mentioned in the video, like using handheld footage, the different lenses, filters, and obviously the editing styles as well, I feel like all of these things combined will really help you achieve the vintage look in your videos.